So there are three main reasons that marketers still aren't using AI in their workflows, even though they really should be. And after hundreds of conversations with fellow marketeers, these are three reasons that have cropped up time and time again. So I'm going to go through each reason. I'm going to explain the logic or feeling behind it, and then we're going to talk about how to overcome it. So let's get started. The first one is that lots of marketers don't actually know what AI is capable of. And guys, to be honest, like this was me a year ago. I used to think AI was a bit of a gimmick. It was maybe a threat for copywriting, but it really wasn't that great. But the reason was I'd only really messed around with ChatGPT in a very surface level way. So I'd logged into ChatGPT, I'd asked it to write a couple of social posts, and maybe one was good, but then the next one would be bad. It was just inconsistent. It started hallucinating. So I kind of like threw the whole project out. I was like, this isn't really going to work for me or any serious professional. But the truth is, I was just using it wrong, okay? And I learned this pretty quick because as things changed economically and like my margins got tighter as an agency owner, I needed to do a lot more with a lot less. So I had to experiment with AI more. So I started off by building like messaging guidelines, knowledge databases, and plugging them into like ChatGPT and Claude. And I was starting to get really consistent copy that I was happy to use. And that kind of woke me up to the possibilities, right? I was suddenly like, well, if it's really good for copywriting, really good for social post captions, and it can even write decent emails, like what else can it do? So I started experimenting, and at first I thought, there's no way that it's going to generate good images or good graphics. It's not going to be able to edit my videos, and it's not going to be able to produce full marketing campaigns. But like systematically, after discovering NAN, I literally knocked off each one of those in quick succession. So yeah, and then I was like a convert. I was like, oh, wow, this is the future. And then I saw what was coming. And I don't mean to be like a doom and gloomer because I don't think it's a bad thing at all. Actually, I think there's a hell of a lot of opportunity in here. But I do think that for maybe 80% of marketers, we're seeing like a little bit of an apocalypse event for them in the future, in the sense that their jobs simply aren't going to exist anymore. And the reason for that is that AI is just so much more capable than people think it is. Like 99.9% of businesses have no idea what you can actually do with AI and what is coming. And for a lot of people who aren't like really masters of their craft, they're not focusing on being super efficient or they haven't got their eye on the bottom line, their jobs are vulnerable. And I think that most of them don't even realize it because, again, they haven't taken the time to learn where AI really is. So if you're sat there thinking that, like, man, AI is useless, it can't do anything, it's inconsistent, it hallucinates, it's not the case. Just with a little bit of education and maybe like 10 hours of education, you can get to the point where you can build like a really powerful agentic system. For example, we've got one that extracts the audio from a trending audio, or that extracts the waveform from a trending audio, turns it into JSON format, then creates a video editing template that then searches through all of our video files and populates the videos, auto adds all of the transitions, everything like that. So it's basically an AI video editor. And I did not think that was possible. We built that in the last month, but it is. So, I used to think that, man, maybe it's the copywriters that are in trouble, but the truth is, it's every single area of marketing is vulnerable to what's coming. And whilst like the absolute masters and the guys at the top of their game, they're never going to be in trouble. They're always going to be around because what they do transcends like normal processes. Like there's an element of true creativity there. For everyone else that is just kind of towing the line, things are going to get tough. But like I said, don't see it as a negative. Like this is really an opportunity to embrace something because when something changes, it shakes things up. And if you're younger, and I'm not going to say what young is, like, I'm not the youngest anymore. Well, I guess I am quite young, but I don't feel that young. But for people that like are looking to establish themselves, this is like a huge opportunity because things are changing and it's something that they can really grab hold of and embrace. So don't shy away from it. And if you do feel like, oh my God, maybe I am one of those marketers that is in that 80% that's just kind of coasting a bit and I really need to invest more in my future, this is the skill to go all in on. This is going to be the most profitable one. So don't let fears of what AI is and isn't capable of hold you back. And the other thing is, guys, like we're right at the beginning of this, and the level of improvement that I've seen over the last 2 years is just astronomical, and it seems to be speeding up. So this is going to continue. This is going to get faster, and it's not a case of if AI is going to be part of a marketer's daily life. It's a case of when. And I wouldn't be surprised, sure, it's already being taught in universities, but it's going to take an even bigger, or it's going to take a center, it's going to take one of them, very soon it's going to take a central role in how we operate in our day-to-day. And yeah, I'm just certain of that, guys. And I'm also acutely aware that it can do much more than 99.9% of people have even begun to imagine. So don't let that hold you back, guys. If you're worried that it's not good enough, trust me, it is. So yeah, that brings us on to number 2. And I mentioned creativity a little bit earlier, but lots of people are scared of losing their creativity. And as marketers, we've all kind of entered this industry or sector because because there's something within us that wants to be expressed, like call it the soul of an artist or a poet or something like that. You know, we all have a little bit of that in us. If we didn't, we'd be boring operations people, or even worse, finance. Okay, so there's a reason that we do something that is a little bit expressive. And this is a little bit of a tangent, but I've always, and this is going to sound completely mental, but I've always noticed this really strong relationship between marketing and ritual. And the reason I say that is because ritual is a highly symbolic, right? They use symbols to evoke certain feelings, which then lead to certain actions. And as marketeers, we're almost like modern day ritualists, you know. We're trying to use symbols, whether that's in the brand or whether that's in videos or whatever it may be. And we're trying to evoke a certain emotion to get a certain response and for someone to follow a certain action. So there's that really like close link between the two. And it kind of feels like when you replace something with a system or a template or AI that you're losing that connection to that real creative pursuit or that act of making something that's authentic. But the truth is, guys, like there's 2 ways to go about this. And the first is recognize that marketing has changed a lot since the 70s or the 80s. And now it's like not good enough just to see it as like some sort of creative activity and that the money will appear at some point after that. That the money will appear at some point at the end of this long path that we couldn't possibly predict. It's just not the case anymore. Like marketing's primary function is to increase the revenue of an endeavor or a business or an entity or whatever it is, right? And so if you're not focused on that, if you're not achieving that, it's very difficult to justify what you're doing as a business owner, say. And I've had that, you know, myself, right? So I'm a marketer, but I'm also a business owner. And then, you know, I've been in situations where I really appreciate someone's creativity, but then it's not getting the financial results. And like, ultimately, what do you choose? You have to go with the business. And it's, you know, if you're a business owner watching this that markets your own business, you're going to understand this completely. It's the stuff you spend so much time and you think, yes, this is the one, this is beautiful, this matches my vision, oh, and then you launch it and it flops. And then some ugly piece of crap that you pulled out of your ass in half an hour, like absolutely smashes it. And like, we all as marketers have these experiences quite regularly, and that's because like sometimes our creative spirit isn't actually aligned with the goals of what we're actually doing. So the first thing I'd say, if you're worried about using AI somehow like infringes your creative integrity, you need to actually recognize the rules of the game that you're playing and recognize that actually revenue generation is the goal. And because of the leverage AI gives you in terms of scalability, right, it's going to win. Like it's going to beat out your creativity at that goal. But I want to present an alternative way of looking at it now as well, because I'm not just going to go all harsh capitalist business owner on you here about this, because that's not in keeping with me or my spirit or how I approach things. I always think back in this situation to when I had about 20 emails that I had to produce every week in our agency. And these were like custom HTMLs, right, for email campaigns. And we used to do every one from scratch, try and be as creative as we could with the time that we had. And it just became a joke, right? I couldn't keep up. Like I was losing sleep. The profit margin was being destroyed because of this. So I had to change something, right? So I made the decision I'm going to implement 5 templates that are used across all of our clients, regardless of the brand. Obviously, you change aspects of it for the brand. But the general text layouts and the copywriting frameworks we used were fixed. And suddenly like 80% of the work disappeared overnight, right? And I don't mean that we weren't doing it for 80% of the clients anymore. What I mean is that like it took us 80% less time, right? So suddenly we had all of this free time. And what do you do with that free time? Well, that's when you get creative. How about we try a new template? Or how about we test this? How about we test that? So actually by like implementing this time-saving measure or this process or this system, it enabled more creativity than we had before when we were trying to be more creative. So it was one of those like inverse sort of hyper-intentionality things, right? Where we're focusing on something so much that we actually lose sight of, we can't see the wood from the trees, okay? And I think something similar goes on in a lot of marketing jobs where like you just get so much piled on your back and you're trying to be creative with each and every individual piece that you actually end up producing this grey sludge that doesn't really reflect anything. You're not proud of it, but you push it out and it's gone. Whereas once you get good systems in place and good processes that protect your time and actually give you the headspace to really attack what you're doing, suddenly you can be more creative. And AI systems do this in the same way. You might say, well, Oscar, like, what the hell are you on about? I'm a video editor. If I'm just sending videos to an AI, like How is that creative? Where's the creativity in that? And the answer is because you don't just send the videos to them, you set the templates up as well. You give it the parameters to operate within. And it's almost like, I don't know, like you're like a candle of light. Your creativity is like a candle of light. And when you create a good AI agentic system, it should be a candle of similar size and the flame should be about the same size. It's almost like when you create a system, right, you're taking everything you know and you're distilling it into principles. And if you've done a good job of that, then that will be extracted out to every time that that system is used or every time that it runs or outputs something, those principles will be in it, right? So it's not like you're just going to start feeding videos to an AI and that's it. It's like you also have to understand how to build the templates, right? You have to understand like what makes a template work. How can you make it like multi-dimensional so it can be used in lots of different ways for lots of different use cases? And that process there, that is what will bring the best out of you because you're not doing this like conveyor belt fast food stuff where you're just shifting stuff out and another one and another one and another one. You don't even watch what you've done because it's already out of the door. You're actually sitting with something. You're taking your time. You're being patient like an artist. And you're making something great because you know that that one template might be used 1,000 times, so it better be bloody good. So the point I'm getting to is that you can't see systemization or templates or AI as this shackle that's going to hold your creativity down. It's actually something that empowers it, but only if you have the sort of foresight to see ahead and understand where things are going. If you just approach it like, oh, it's just going to save time, I can chuck stuff into it now and it doesn't matter. Yeah, of course your creativity is lost. But if you treat it like an artist, if you treat it like a true artisan, then suddenly you should recognize that now everything you do in terms of creating that template, it has more meaning because it's scaled out so many more times. So it's even more important. But anyway, a little bit of passion seeping through there. So hopefully you see now that like AI isn't going to destroy your creativity. It's going to embolden it and it's going to empower it. And it's going to allow you to like move down a level to the more philosophical and really get to grips with the principles. And actually, I think that's a very good thing. And now it's time for the third reason that marketers are resisting AI when they really shouldn't be. And it's actually the silliest because things have changed so much. And that is that they're worried they're not technical enough. As I've said, as marketing guys, we're quite creative, right? And we're not necessarily devs. We don't always have the technical skills apart from those strange programmatic ad people. But I'm pretty sure they're just like quantitative analysts anyway. So not even sure if they really count. And lots of business owners too, right? They face this problem. They're like, I really don't know where I'm starting. I don't know how these tools work. I've seen all of these complicated automations. I don't know what to do. I'm out. But do not worry, guys. There's so many no-code tools out there now, and N8N is probably like the prime example. It's a visual workflow builder, right? So you can drop modules in, you can see the flow of data visually, and it just makes it so much more intuitive. It basically turns it into Lego for adults, right? Or Lego for business people or marketeers in this context. And if you see it like that, suddenly it's like, okay, yeah, I kind of get it now. Like I just follow the steps, I put the blocks in the right place and I get the data flow here to here and it works. And it really is that simple. I'm not lying to you guys. Like I wouldn't be sitting here as passionate as I am about this if I didn't truly believe that it can really change your lives and that you were capable of doing it. So yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things about all of these no-code tools as well is that like, obviously every tool that you plug into, whether it's like an API call or whatever it is, it wants to be spoken to in a different way, right? And I kind of like liken this to manners, right? It wants like a slightly different, I don't know, dialect or a slightly different sort of version of manners, say. So some people like you to say please first, some people like to say thank you either. That's just like a really natural language way of understanding the different rules or semantic sort of requirements of different tools that you work with. But the great thing is that like rather than you having to go away and learn what all of these rules are, you can just use ChatGPT, you can use Claude, whatever it is, to shortcut that for you. So when you get an error, right, let's say you're plugging in a certain tool into N8N, you're running an API request and you're getting back an error. You don't really need to go into the documentation to understand what that error is 90% of the time. You can just put it into ChatGPT, ask it what the issue is, it's going to tell you in natural language, and then you can change it. And that is so powerful, right, guys? Because you don't have to like go through that really like painstaking process that so many devs have gone through, where they just learn the hard way through getting an error, resolving it, getting an error, resolving it, and having to remember how they resolved it each time for every time that it crops up. Now you've got like this super powered friend on your back that's going to assist you, and it just opens up so much of this. So like, don't think like if you looked online, you'd think this was like a hyper male dominated space and it's a very specific type of person, maybe a little bit nerdy. Don't want to say it, but yeah, maybe a little bit. You know, we're not talking like guys are like we're not talking like necessarily the coolest people in the world. So yeah, not looking to insult anyone, guys, just playing around. But what I'm trying to say is like, don't think that there's only a certain type of person that can achieve in this world, because it's not true, especially in the AI world, because yeah, it's so much easier than it used to be. And remember, just go back to it. You're basically building Legos for business. That's all it is. So don't overcomplicate it. Don't let fear of your not having technical skills stop you from doing this, because it's not a good enough reason. But yeah, just don't let that stop you, all right, guys? Because with 10 hours, you can learn everything you need to. Which brings me on to the final point, which is actually education, because education is the solution for all three of these obstacles. So whether or not it's that you don't know what AI is capable of, whether or not you're worried that it's going to stifle your creativity, or whether you don't think you've got the technical skills, by educating yourself, you're going to learn that all of those things aren't actually concerns. And you're doing the right thing now, right? You're consuming the right type of content that's going to teach you what you need to learn to actually move forward in this, that's going to teach you the skills that you need to move forward with integrating AI into your marketing workflows, whether you're a business owner or whether or not you're just a marketing, or whether you're a business owner or a marketing professional, it doesn't matter. But you also need to be taking what you're learning here and find ways to apply it practically. And you're doing the right things right now, guys, by consuming content like this, but you also need to apply it practically. You need to find ways in your day-to-day work or whatever it may be that you can actually use this knowledge, use this understanding, and get real-world experience. And the number one tip that I would have for you guys is either join a community, find a mentor, someone that you respect, someone that you're willing to learn from, and just dive into it, right, guys? Give yourself to it. Give yourself to learning this new skill, because I promise you won't regret it. That's actually why Toby and I started a school community, because we've been parts of other school communities that we've learned so much from, and it was such like a good process for us, and it gave us such a good feeling that we want to give that feeling back to others, and we want to teach them what we've learned as well. So, guys, don't forget, you're not in this on your own, because there's so many instances where like you're going to be stuck on something, and just a quick question to a community group and you're going to get your answer, and you're going to have saved potentially hours of headaches and feeling like you're useless and the bloody automation not working. But then once you get there, once you get that piece of advice, it all just slides into place. So guys, if you are interested in our community, there's a link down in the comments. It's free to join. It's got all of our automations, all of our agents in there. But on top of that, it's also got a quick course that's going to take you from zero to hero when it comes to AI marketing. And we'd love to see you in there. Also as well, we drop in every day, so you can ask us questions if you need anything. More than happy to help you out. Thank you for listening to this video. Thank you for staying with us, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.